Live from the Kingsgate Realty Studios in Burlington City, New Jersey, this is Fantasy Dominance Now. Come dominate fantasy sports with us, and providing you with all the tools to dominate is Harry's Contracting. No job too big, no job too small. For a professional home improvement, give Harry Ernst a call at 609-638-6336, or you can email him, harryscontractimprovements@gmail.com. If you mention A2D Radio when he comes out for your free estimate, he'll give you 15% off the quote. Tack on another 5% if you give Harry the job for a total of 20% savings. Now, that is something you cannot beat. Holy Hail Mary, everybody. Even when you stink, Aaron Rodgers, you never cease to amaze. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Rob Povia. Doug Fresh will be joining us momentarily on the Freshmaker Skype line, manned by the best producer in the biz, Matt Sensuti. Now, if you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search a2dradio.com. Now, if you got specific fantasy questions, give us a call today, 856-295-1178, or tweet at us with the hashtag ASKFDN. My handle is at RobbieBLTZ, and my partner in crime, who will be on the horn in just a second, is at StatMagnet85. But then again, you definitely want to include the hashtag AskFDN. And if you're on our Twitter handle for A2D Radio_com, you'll be able to see an awesome poll that we have for this show, and that is, will this be the last time we see Brady versus Manning? It's been all over the airwaves this week, and certainly we're gonna have Doug Fresh chime in. Will this be the last time we see Brady versus Manning? What do you think, Doug? Is this the last time it's Brady versus Manning? Hello? We lost Doug. We'll get him back in just a quick second, but for his answer. But in the meantime, you can vote on our Twitter poll. Is the last time we'll see Brady versus Manning? Simple, yes or no. And it's all based on, is this the last go at it for one Peyton Manning in the AFC Championship game? And we're going to break it down for you. Doug, you there with us, brother? Hello. Doug, you there, brother? Hello. Doug, you there?
Hello.
Hey, there he is. What's going on, Doug? Live from Milford, Massachusetts. Thanks for joining us. Hello. Seems like we're having a little phone problems with them. We'll try to get Doug on the line as soon as we possibly can. But in the meantime, let me break down what we're going to be talking about today. We're obviously going to be covering the AFC and NFC Championship preview, as you saw in the title of the show. We're going to review the weekend that was and what we expect to see in this coming weekend. More importantly, will you be able to play in daily leagues one last time in the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship game? If you are, we're going to give you all the tools to dominate, win you some money in your FanDuel or DraftKings leagues. And, we're going to give you a little bit of information towards fantasy hockey and fantasy basketball. We're going to be covering, our Shaman report, who's injured, who has returned, who you can get back into your lineup, or who you can add to replace an injured star. And then also we're going to have the Kings, Jacks, and Jokers again, which is a great new segment we have on Fantasy Dominance Now, where we give you a king, someone that's just really their performance has been strong like a king in their respective sport, or even outside off the field, a charitable donation, a charitable act of kindness. Then we got our jack off. Basically, that's pretty self-explanatory in or outside the world of sports. And then we also have our Joker category, who has just been an absolute dumbass, outside, inside. I have been outside the sporting world this week again, much like the gentleman that was arrested for running a meth lab and said he was trying to make wine, which certainly was a likely excuse, not really an excuse. And we got Doug Pitchford on the line. Doug, are you there?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, there he is,
Hey.
Vinny Bombats. How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, man. Just breaking down the show for everyone tuning in today's Fantasy Dominance Now here on ATDRadio.com. We were talking about our Twitter question. Will this be the last time we see Brady versus Manning? What say you, sir?
I mean, I really hope not, but with the way like Peyton's career looks like it's winding down, between controversy and just injury, I do believe this is probably his last game of his NFL career.
Very well could be, especially if they move on to the Super Bowl, which could be likely. We'll have to see how it all plays out. What do you expect for this AFC Championship game?
Honestly, I expect a dog fight. Like this could be one of those all time classics. Kind of something we saw a few weeks ago with Arizona Green Bay.
Oh, what a phenomenal game. Like I said in the opening, holy Hail Mary. We see it again. Against the Detroit Lions, okay, well, we could see that. Not a well-coached team. Certainly the players are lacking discipline. But then again, against a tough Cardinals defense, pushing that game into overtime. Didn't matter to a hell of beans, though, as Larry Fitzgerald just erupted for a 75-yard winning touchdown in overtime.
That huge 75-yard play was just unbelievable. I thought he was gonna score. I mean, he got it. He got the score anyway. But he should have scored on that play. He shouldn't have gone down when he did. He
Yeah.
should have toughed it. Yeah, he should have powered through that.
He should have. Didn't work out that way, though. And you see the Cardinals moving on to face the Carolina Panthers in the NFC Championship game. But before we get to that, let's dive back into this Brady versus Manning. Will it be one last time? Well, just a review, this will be the 17th matchup with Brady leading the all-time matchup 11-5. Although Manning's he's only 3-4 when playing at home. Can he even it up in a swan song? I like his chances because the Patriots are not the Patriots we saw mid-season. They have a lot of injuries going on, and they skated by the Chiefs last week. Certainly they took a strong lead and sat back on it, much like the Carolina Panthers. But will that be able to last against a tough Denver defense, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, you would think that, but you're right though. They have gone through a transformation. I've seen them go from being an offensive juggernaut to being more of a defensive team throughout the course of this season. I think it actually bodes well for them in this matchup. Peyton doesn't have that big arm anymore. He's not throwing the ball down the field with those big 20+ yard throws like he used to. So I could see that New England defense being able to key in on those short to intermediate passes, really slowing down that offense.
Yeah,
So it's more a matter of what can they really stop Brady?
that's the question, really. Can they stop Brady? And so far, no one has, but I think the Denver defense can. I know Denver. Peyton Manning came out and said, "This is the healthiest I've felt since mid last season." He showed it on the football field last week. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he does beat him deep in this game and shows a little bit of flashes from his earlier Colts days and beginnings with Denver Broncos.
I mean, I don't believe him when he says he's healthier than he's been in years. I disagree. I didn't like the way he was able to throw the ball further with a little bit more, force behind it than I've seen in the past few years, but he's still not he's never had a huge arm, and it's just, you see those 20, 30-yard throws, 40-yard throws, they're just kind of like wobbling up there.
Quack, quack like a duck.
Basically.
Well, I mean, just a year ago, Manning did get defeated by the Tom Brady and Patriots 43-21. But in that game, he posted up 438 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a passer rating of 80.9. Not quite the 4-touchdown performance that Brady put out in a passer rating of 97.4. But, obviously the man can still get it done. He's had an injured year. He was out for a while. I just see a really throwback to the heyday of this matchup.
I hope so, because I want to see an all-time classic. I want to see him go out with style. I don't think Denver's winning this game, though. I do think New England going back to yet another Super Bowl.
And that's
Hopefully,
what we all want to see, right?
well, that's what all of New England wants to see. I know that.
Free Brady Nation, where you reside currently. Maybe it's starting to rub off on you, Doug.
It's not. Hey, a little bit, but not really. No, I mean, I could just no. I just see. I really do see the growth in this team though. Like their defense has really stepped up over the last 3 months.
No,
More or less, it really started once Edelman went down.
right. Well, the last AFC Championship game these two teams played back in 2014 for the 2013 season, Manning outshined Brady in that game, 400 yards to his 277, throwing for two touchdowns and a passer rating of 118.4. I see it happening again. I really do. I don't, maybe not quite the 400 yards, but I see Manning doing just enough to win this game, relying on a strong running back, which will tie into one of my fantasy recommendations for championship weekend. And I like that Denver D matched up against who's going to beat you on that Patriots defense. Really, all you have is Gronkowski. I don't believe Edelman is
No,
purely 100%.
I agree with you, but I think Gronkowski's enough.
Yeah.
Unless Denver does something, take him out of the game completely and permanently. Wink, wink, hint, hint. Not saying they should, but if you can physically get Gronkowski out of this game, like there's no reason. Like the Patriots have nothing that they can do on offense.
Right, right. Well, hey, each quarterback in this matchup has won their last home game in a similar dominating fashion. So the game is at Denver. We'll see if that plays into it. I know the Patriots have been able to win on the road this season. It should be a great matchup. Both championship games are going to be great. I'm highly looking forward to them.
Oh yeah, no, they definitely are. That Carolina Arizona game looks like it could be one of those great shootouts. With Arizona's defense coming in all banged up and Cam Newton being red hot as he's been, like
Scalding.
it. Oh yeah, oh yeah, it could definitely be a 37-34 game.
And there's something special about this game. We talked about it last night planning for the show. This is
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, this is going to be the first matchup of Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks in a championship game since 1971 when Roger Staubach beat, wait for it, Steve Spurrier. Yeah, he did play before his coaching days.
The ball coach was a baller. Yeah, you forgot to mention eventual Super Bowl champion.
Yes, yeah, that
Didn't
is
they?
correct. That is correct. Hey, you know, who do you think is the eventual Super Bowl winning or making it to the Super Bowl between the Panthers and the Cardinals in this matchup?
Um, ooh, that's a tough one.
I'm putting you on the
I
spot.
think I'm gonna go with yeah, you are. I think I'm gonna go with the matchup America wants to see. I'm saying that Cam's gonna come through. In that tight 37-34 game and set up Cam Brady.
What could be a potential dominating defensive game? I agree with you. I know points are going to be scored in this game. Look at Larry Fitz, as I alluded to before, posting up 170 yards and two touchdowns, including the game winner, looking like the Larry Fitz of old. Will he be able to do that against Josh Norman this week? I don't think so. I think Josh Norman will shut him down. Maybe expect a game from John Brown, who we'll get to in our daily fantasy recommendations. Uh, it's gonna boil down to a matchup between the quarterbacks, and for a winning quarterback last week, Carson Palmer didn't play the part.
No, he didn't play the part. Uh, I do think though with the amount of weapons he has in that Arizona offense, though, especially David Johnson, I think he's gonna have a huge game. It's gonna be a close one. I definitely like Carson Palmer this weekend as a cheaper fantasy option if you're trying to save if you're trying to really load up on stars.
Cool. Hey, well, you can always hold that thought, and we'll get to it on the other side of the break, where we could go into, you know, who can you play in this last week? Can you even play? We got a little court update for you in the state of New York versus FanDuel and DraftKings. We're going to get into fantasy hockey. We're going to get into fantasy basketball. We're going to get into Kings, Jacks, and Jokers. It's a jam-packed show. In regard to this matchup, I'm going to say Arizona pulls it out. I'm going to say that Cam Newton's miracle run ends. Just to be a little disagreeable with you, maybe it's my heart talking a little bit. So I want to see Carson Palmer and Larry Fitz go up against whoever makes it out of the the Brady Manning Bowl. I would love to see Broncos Cardinals, but I know the world wants to see Patriots Panthers.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course everybody wants to see Patriots Panthers, but yeah, I see it happening though. I see everybody being right.
Absolutely.
It's the stars are aligned, my friend.
Well, our AFC NFC Championship preview was brought to you by Legends Tap, the best pizza this side of the Delaware. You can go catch a slice at 318 High Street or follow them on Facebook at Legends Tap, and that's 318 High Street in Burlington, New Jersey. You want to keep it there. We're giving you the tools to dominate in your fantasy leagues. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance now here on A2DRadio.com. You're listening to the worldwide leader of Real Talk, A2DRadio.com.
This is Het, your dude with the tunes from A to Z Classic Rock. When I'm hungry and in the mood for pizza or a killer sandwich, I head to Legends Tap, located at 318 High Street in Burlington, New Jersey. Pleasant atmosphere, delicious pizza, kickin' sandwiches, great iced tea, soda, or if you prefer an adult beverage, they have that also. 318 High Street, Burlington, New Jersey, Legends Tap, the best pizza this side of the Delaware.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. With over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs. A2DRadio.com is sponsored by Martino Roofing. With more than 15 years of roofing experience, they have all the services that you need, whether it's new construction, tear-offs, replacements, or re-roofs for your residential or commercial business. They'll provide a detailed service in a timely and professional manner. So you can give them a call for a free consultation at 609-792-5103. Send them an email at martinoroofing@comcast.net or visit them on the web at www.martinoroofingllc.com. The number again is 609-792-5103. Martino Roofing.
Hey guys, Rob Povia here from Fantasy Dominance Now in the Hockey Happy Hour with a quick question. Are you in need of a professional home improvement? Then contact Harry's Contracting, 609-638-6336. That's 609-638-6336. No job too big, no job too small. The owner, Harry Ernst, is a fully licensed general contractor. Tile work, bathroom and kitchen remodeling, and just about everything else. No matter what you need, Harry will leave your home looking as beautiful as ever. Harry's Contracting offers free estimates, and if you mention A2D Radio during the estimate, Harry will give you 15% off the quote. Give him the job, tack on another 5% for a total of 20% savings off his already insane low prices. So contact Harry's Contracting today, 609-638-6336, or email Harry's Contract Improvements at gmail.com. Harry's Contracting, insane home improvements.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Today's Fantasy Dominance Now. We're giving you all the tools to dominate in any fantasy sports league, anywhere on any planet. And this is being powered by Harry's Contracting for professional home improvement. Give Harry Ernst a call, 609-638-6336, or email Harry, harryscontractingimprovements@gmail.com. So, Doug, before we get into our recommendations for NFL Championship Weekend in your daily leagues, will people even be able to play in daily leagues according to court proceedings last week?
Yeah, this is something we tried to get into last week's show, but obviously we were so jam packed couldn't even get it in. The DraftKings and FanDuel, as we last spoke about, there was a temporary injunction put in place banning them from operating in New York. Well, apparently last Monday, an appellate court system to the state Supreme Court ruled that a stay would be allowed in place until January 4th. The stay allowing both DraftKings and FanDuel to operate till at least January 4th.
Right, so we're past that deadline. What does that mean now? I mean, will people be? I mean, I think that it's going to keep on getting extended until there's a final ruling in the court of New York.
Well, actually, funny enough, according to this New York Times article that was written, this stay that was actually put in place. I'm sorry, it was put in place January 11th. I misspoke.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna remain in place. Until in a more I guess I'm a little tongue tied. So like a further evaluation is made on a legislation level, according to what fantasy games are. Is it a form of gambling?
Right. Well, of course, you're going to get a one-sided argument from DraftKings attorney David Boyes, who said, "We're pleased with the court's ruling. Daily fantasy sports contests are as legal now as they have been for the past 7 years that New Yorkers have been playing them. As our litigation continues, we expect an appellate court to see what we have known since the onset. Daily fantasy leagues, DFS for short, is a game of knowledge and skill, one that builds community and whose competitive spirit has become important to the lives of millions of people." I couldn't agree with him more. Now, of course, we're a little one-sided on that, obviously, as is he, but we chimed in, the people chimed in, was it a form of gambling? And for the most part, people either said no or, well, yeah, but who really cares, because it's based on skill. You're not betting the horses at the track, so to speak.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's not betting the horse at the track. I mean, that being said, but I still think it should be declared some form of gambling. I think it does need to be legislated, as such. People do get addicted to things like this, just like betting on horses at the track, betting on basketball games, things like that.
And if you legislate it right, if I catch you right, so you're saying it's gambling, it could be addictive. We need to, have rules and regulations just like there is for any other form of gambling. But you wish to see it continue, that it's not a form of illegal gambling, as the state of New York is claiming.
Exactly. And the state of New York, as such, is one of those states that has legalized gambling. So it's one of the states that operates out of. I feel like most states at this point should, authorize, this type of online gameplay.
Well,
I know there's still a few states that don't allow DraftKings or FanDuel to operate out of.
Right. And those few states could ruin it for us all if it becomes a federally mandated legislation against that, which is what they're really pushing for down the road. They're starting with New York and moving on from there. I just, come on, man. Leave it alone. Obviously, this is due to some prosecutor or some judge lost a crap ton of money on a lock they had for fantasy sports. And obviously, it wasn't a lock because they don't tune into Fantasy Dominance now, and they lost their money, and their panties are hurt a little bit, and they're trying to ruin it for all. That's what this country's all about. I'm miserable, so I'm going to make everybody miserable.
Oh, preach, brother, preach. Oh man, or it could just be simply about the fact that those, that little insider trading scandal, where that guy made, I don't know, what was he making, like $30,000 a week?
Yep.
You
Yeah, I
know?
think it topped into the 200K at one point. Yeah, you bring up a great point, man. That's what raised the red flag. Before that, nobody was asking any questions.
Nope. Those idiots have now started this whole shit show. Like, oh my God.
Well, so the finalization is at least for now, we could still continue on playing our daily fantasy leagues. And I just expect this to be continually pushed off. Maybe 6 years from now, we'll get a final ruling. But in the meantime, me and Doug are here to help ourselves win some money this weekend in NFL Championship weekend.
Got to get it while you can.
Absolutely. So my first recommendation is all of you out there, spend the money and pick up Cam Newton. The Cardinals D looked good minus Tyrann Mathieu last week versus Rodgers, but Superman is unconscious, as Doug alluded to in the beginning of the show.
Unreal. Unreal.
Now you had recommended another. You said someone else for quarterback. Is that correct?
Yeah, I would. I mean, if you can't afford Cam when you're going with guys like Gronkowski, who you have to go with this weekend, I would suggest going with Carson Palmer as a secondary cheaper option. I just see that game going back and forth. I usually see Carson Palmer having 2-3 touchdowns in that game.
Now I could see that happening despite the two tough defenses, but I don't know if I could take that gamble, and especially Palmer didn't give me a lot of confidence last week. That one interception in the end zone was atrocious. You should never throw. You shouldn't be a rookie and throw that ball, let alone a multi-year vet like Carson Palmer is.
Oh, I agree with you there, but I think that Carolina defense is a little wounded up front. Especially with Jared Allen playing with like I believe he broke a bone in like his foot.
Oof. Poor Jared Allen.
Yeah, he's going to play through it. He's playing through the ailment, so he's going to be slowed in that game.
Oh, of course he's going to play through it. He was cut off the chip off the old block of the 1960s football player.
Oh, yeah, he is. Jared Allen's he's a throwback guy.
Big time, big time.
Yeah, he's got a fractured foot, and they're now actually saying he's doubtful for the game. The Panthers are.
Wow. A little too much.
He said he was going to play.
Of course he's like, you'd have to amputate my foot to keep me from playing.
Yeah, he's saying he's playing. They're saying he's not. So this is going to be an interesting story going into that game.
That the mind game's got to come out. It's it's put up or shut up time. NFC, AFC championship time. Now you said something that in terms of for the tight end position, it's Rob Gronkowski and lock it up. No one else deserves a spot there. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. No one else deserves a spot there. It's go time.
Not even your boy Greg Olsen?
Oh, I love Greg Olsen. He is my boy. Boy, I'm sorry, Greg. Your name's not Rob Gronkowski.
Well, I talked about on Agree to Disagree. He darn near is the best tight end, if not definitely the best tight end in football, maybe even ever if you're starting to go into that conversation. I just feel that Greg Olsen matches up better against the Cardinals' defense. Gronkowski matches up well against any defense, granted. But I think if you could save a few $100s, go with Greg Olsen because they do give up fantasy points to the tight end.
They do give up fantasy points to the tight end. I honestly just think Rob Gronkowski has to have a huge game in order for New England to win, and I do see New England winning that game. So, subsequently, you have to roll with Gronkowski.
Absolutely.
And plus it's the playoffs. I mean, like this is the time of year where Gronkowski, this is why you have Gronkowski. He's going to get the ball.
Yep.
I mean, you got to take advantage of the guy who's the unstoppable guy who's gonna, be the game plan.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, hold that thought, Doug. We're going to take a brief time out for station identification. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com.
You're listening to A2D Radio. A2D Radio. A2D Radio. A2DRadio.com.
And welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance Now, powered by Harry's Contracting. We're talking in the middle of our daily fantasy recommendations for the AFC and NFC Championship weekend. Let's move on to running back, Doug. Who do you got for the running back position?
Running back this week, Jonathan Stewart's got to be top on the list this week. He really showed up last week when they needed him. He seems like he shows up in every big game. You know, there's no bigger game so far for Carolina than this NFC Championship game. So Jonathan Stewart, got to pencil him in, so to speak.
Yeah, agreed. I liked what I saw out of Ronnie Hillman last week, toting the rock. He really showed that he could be a powerful runner in a slight frame. He definitely outshined C.J. Anderson, and I expect that to continue because I think that's the one way you can exploit the Patriots' defense is on the ground opposed to in the air.
Yeah, no, that is definitely one of the ways to expose them, especially, you know, with some of the injuries they had last week at the linebacker spot. You know, you got to look to expose them there, see if you can, you know, hit those creases, get those couple big gainers with Hillman and C.J. Anderson.
I don't think you can go wrong with Jonathan Stewart or Ronnie Hillman. Ronnie Hillman is a little bit less in value, so if you need that to get a higher skill position like Rob Gronkowski, Ronnie Hillman, I think, would be an interesting play. For wide receivers, I'm going to give two. I alluded to one, John Brown. I think on being on the other side of Josh Norman, he could be Carson Palmer's go-to guy and what could be a potential shootout, as Doug Fresh thinks this game will be. And then Emmanuel Sanders. You know, his old team sort of shut him down last week. I don't think that's going to continue again. I think Emmanuel Sanders is going to erupt. I think that's going to be Peyton's go-to guy 10, 20 yards out.
Yeah, I actually couldn't agree with you more there. I don't think like in that intermediate route, though, he's 100%. I think he's going to have a huge game. I actually going to go one step further. I think Ted Ginn is going to have a huge game on Sunday. No Tyrann Matthew for Arizona. You saw them late game against Green Bay just get shredded on the deep ball. I think Cam's going to hit Ted Ginn over the top, not once but twice in that game. I think it's going to be an aerial assault.
An absolute aerial assault indeed. For defense, I'm recommending Carolina's defensive play this weekend. Who do you got, Doug?
No. I'm going with New England.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that game's going to be a little bit lower scoring.
You never know how these can work out. You think it's going to be a high-scoring game like Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and it's a tight defensive battle. That's what makes the playoffs great, any given Sunday, indeed. So all of our recommendations are being brought to you. All of our fresh recommendations are brought to you by Obie's Catering, where his fresh food is changing the world one dish at a time. You can contact Chris O'Brien, 856-534-8410. Email him, Catering by Obie, that's OBIE, @yahoo.com, or like him on Facebook, Catering by Obie. And if you tell him any of the boys from A2D Radio sent you, you get 20% off. On the other side, we're going to go one last time back to Manning versus Brady. Who do the people say will be a victor? Who will be the last one standing? This is Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com.
Welcome in to the worldwide leader of what? Real talk, A2DRadio.com. This is Tom Arnone, owner and founder of A2DRadio.com. What if I told you I knew the best caterer in the business? Well, I'm not going to lie to you. It's Obie's Catering. You can contact Obie's Catering at cateringbyobie@yahoo.com or give Chris O'Brien a call at 856-534-8410 from graduations to wedding rehearsals to just if you need food cooked in your house. He'll do it all. He's trying to change the world one dish at a time. That's Obie's Catering. Chris O'Brien, 856-534-8410. Tell him Tommy A from A2DRadio.com sent you, and you'll get 20% off.
this is Head, your dude with the tunes from A to Z Classic Rock. When I'm hungry and in the mood for pizza or killer sandwich, I head to Legends Tap, located at 318 High Street in Burlington, New Jersey. Pleasant atmosphere, delicious pizza, kickin' sandwiches, great iced tea, soda, or if you prefer an adult beverage, they have that also. 318 High Street, Burlington, New Jersey, Legends Tap, the best pizza this side of the Delaware.
Hey, are you interested in moving to the South Jersey area? Or are you looking to buy, sell, or rent a house? Have no fear, Kingsgate Realty is here to help you out. They have hundreds of listings on their site for your financing needs. Be sure to call Patrick Bokikio at 856-931-1200. Once again, that is 856-931-1200. Or you can email him at patbo@kingsgatere.com. Be sure to visit kingsgatere.com today.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
Welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance Now, powered by Harry's Contracting. Now, if you want in on the dominance, you got to give us your questions so we can help you dominate in any fantasy league, any sport, anywhere. Give us a call, 856-295-1178, or tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at RobbieBLTZ. My partner in crime is at StatMagnet85. Now, you also got to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to A2DRadio.com's YouTube channel. We've gotten an outpouring of response on our poll question. Even on Instagram, we have fantasy football news chiming in, liking today's show, liking today's posting, and asking for our opinion on several daily recommendations. Also, a little feedback on their fantasy football app. Is that their clever ploy to get us to click on the app for another view? I'm not falling for it, Doug. Are you?
I'm too late.
I'll probably check it out later because I'm a fantasy nerd.
Too late. They got me. Don't waste your time. Yeah, but don't waste your time though. Don't do it. It's not worth it. It sucks. They're nowhere near us.
That's right. 10-time champ over here, multiple times for myself as well. Baseball is my forte. Football, I think, has got to be Doug's forte. Basketball too.
Yeah. I would say that. I would say I'm pretty solid at basketball. Not my forte yet, though. Give me another year.
Well, basketball and hockey, often gets ignored, but they could definitely be prime time sports, and we're going to get into a few updates on the injury front in just a moment. But before that, we want to cap off our Twitter poll question. Is this the last time we'll see Brady versus Manning? Who will be victorious? We talked about it earlier on the show. Now, with an overwhelming 89% of the vote, they say, yes, this will be the last time we see Brady versus Manning, especially on the AFC Championship stage. 11% said no. Thank you, everyone, for voting on our Twitter page. There's still 6 hours left if you want to be heard, and we'll review it even after the show. I think it's coupled with a lot of people are expecting Manning to retire at the end of the season. I just feel that whether he does or doesn't, I don't feel that he'll be able to get onto this stage again in his career. And for that matter, Brady's not getting any younger either.
No, he's not getting any younger. He's what, 30, 35 this year?
35? It sounds about right. Let's go to the Wikipedia. Let's see what's going on.
I got you, my friend.
He is 38. Wow.
He's 38. He said he wants to play till he's 60, though.
Well, he probably could, man. Yeah, I just saw him on an episode of Entourage that I was going back to watch, and he looked like 12 years old in that episode, just a really tall 12-year-old.
Yeah, right. I don't know, man. It begs the question. is Tom Brady on some type of, you know, performance enhancing drug?
Watch, that'll be the latest scandal to come out of New England, HGH gate.
Better yet, did he find the fountain of youth?
Oh boy. Well, anyway, thank you all for voting. We really appreciate the support on our social medias. Keep it coming. Keep it chiming. Give us your questions. We're here to help you dominate in your fantasy leagues. So, moving on to fantasy hockey, my repertoire, fantasy basketball, Doug's repertoire. Doug, do you have you want to go first? You want me to go first? How you feel about this?
Yeah, I can rock it and roll it. This edition of the NBA report.
And it's being brought to you by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. 703 Black Horse Pike, Glendora, New Jersey. Give them a call, 856-939-2030. Look them up online, sportsoutletinc.com.
Thank you. You know, me bumbling around with these sheets and all. Yeah, a lot of minor injuries to report. You know, not too many significant outside of like Joakim Noah being out for the season, having shoulder surgery on the 17th, a couple of days after being out, he ruled out indefinitely with a shoulder injury. Sad for him. He was becoming a great player.
You never want to see young players injured and that could potentially kill their shelf life. Do you think this is a long-term injury to deal with or short-term?
Oh, no, he's out for the season.
No, but I mean in terms of career, or is it, you know what I mean? Like, could this be, a career-threatening, career-shortening injury?
Oh, most definitely, especially to the shoulder. We see it with pitchers all the time in baseball. Shoulder injuries are usually career enders. Not too many guys come back from those. So, yeah, I mean, in basketball especially, you have to raise your arms all the time. Whether you're grabbing the ball or trying to shoot or anything like that. So there's a lot of wear and tear on the shoulder. I could see him coming back, just not to the level of player he's been over the last few years.
Gotcha. Who's next on your shaman report?
Victor Oladipo has got a knee injury. Obviously, he was out yesterday. No reports as to when he'll return, but I could expect that to at least be like a week or two. Anything with knees, especially when they're not specifying what's wrong with the knee outside of it's just a knee sprain. It's always concerning, especially with young players like that. For your presumably rookie of the year, Kristaps Porzingis, he's got a foot injury. He's listed as day-to-day, injured in yesterday's game on Martin Luther King Day against the Philadelphia 76ers. He should be back in a couple of games, though. It's not appearing to be a serious injury.
That's right. The Sixers took him out, man. They never want the Knicks to supersede them.
And Blake Griffin's out again after returning last week from a knee injury. He's back on the shelf with a quad strain. Definitely uncertain when he'll return.
Cool. Who else you got? That's
in terms of major injuries, that's it. I got a few guys to add in their stays. A guy like a Marquise Morris, if you're a Blake Griffin over, would be big. Robert Covington also, with that three-point shot, he's been scoring in double digits in his last 3 games. He's definitely a guy to look at.
Oh, both logical avenues to go towards to replace Blake Griffin, at least for the time being.
Yeah, or even Joakim Noah.
Right.
For the time being. A few other guys, if you're looking for, scoring and things like that and assists, Marcus Smart, he's a true stat stuffer. He's available in about 30%, about 70% of leagues. He's a guy to add. Dennis Schroeder is another one, owned in less than 40% of leagues. Another good guy, Emmanuel Mudiay also. He's a guy owned about half the leagues, but if you're looking for a really good point guard that can score and give you those assist numbers, he's a guy that can definitely help you.
Only 50% owned. I'm surprised from Mudiay there. I thought he'd be owned more.
Yeah, well, rookies in the NBA are a lot different than rookies in the NFL.
Right.
Yeah, like a lot of rookies in the NBA aren't impact right away guys. You know, the few that are, you tend to be like some of the better players in the league.
True that. True that. Who else you got on your ad list?
I got a couple other guys here. Terrell Arthur, if you're really desperate in like a more of a dynasty style league or a bigger keeper league, he's a guy to look at for a short term ad. Also, Mario Chalmers is a good ad to have. You know, he's been red hot. You know, coming off a stretch where he scored in double digits in 7 straight games. Yeah, he's definitely a guy who's been pretty hot and really productive.
Nice.
Yeah. What about you, Rob? What do you got for your hockey report?
All right. Well, hey, the hockey report's being brought to you by Philly Sports Bar. We can catch every Flyers game, and they're playing red hot these days. 6-0-1 in their last 7. You can go visit Philly Sports Bar, 31 South Black Horse Pike, Runnymede, New Jersey. Give them a call, 856-939-4322, or look them up online, phillydiner.com. For hockey, I'm going to start off with a pair of returning Pennsylvania defensemen. These are guys that were injured on the Shaman Report and now have returned back thanks to our thoughts and prayers. First of all, Shane Gostisbehere. He returned this past weekend versus the Rangers and showed no lack of motion from a lower body injury suffered in a Minnesota Wild game. The Flyers and fantasy owners dodged a huge bullet there. On the other side of Pennsylvania for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Chris Letang, who was held out on Sunday due to a wrist injury suffered last Friday and was in danger of missing more time this week, while Letang returned against the Blues and showed no ill effects. He assisted on both Pens' goals and had 26 minutes of time on ice. I got him into my lineup just in the nick of time for weekly leagues. We hope you did too. Definitely get him into your daily leagues. I'm going to move on to a few other injuries, but first, Doug, we're going to go pay some bills. On the other side, okay. I'm going to go I just wanted to get to those two main ones for our Pennsylvania fandom that tunes into A2Dradio.com. But I'm going to get into a whole other ones around the league, going to give you some ad recommendations, and then we're also going to give you Kings, Jacks, and Jokers, a new segment here on Fantasy Dominance Now. You're not going to want to miss it. All the fun is being sponsored by Scanzano Sports Center, 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call, 856-889-3434, or look them up online, scanzanosports.com. Come get your game in shape down in Cherry Hill. Exquisite facility, great for getting your baseball game on point. As I said, on the other side, we're wrapping up fantasy hockey and the show. Keep it there. This is Fantasy Dominance Now, A2Dradio.com. You're listening to the worldwide leader of Real Talk, A2DRadio.com.
This is Tom Arnone, owner and operator of A2DRadio.com and host of Agree to Disagree. If I want to go check out a ball game, there's no better place than the Philly Sports Bar located at 31 South Black Horse Pike in Runnymede, New Jersey. With over 40 plasma and HD TVs, a brick oven, a 2-story deck, the sports bar has surpassed everyone's expectations. From the one-of-a-kind sports memorabilia to life-size sports figures, the bar stays true to its name. The Philly Sports Bar will provide quality service along with outstanding variety of the finest liquors and well-known beers in a family-friendly environment while remaining true to what they are, the best darn sports bar. That's the Philly Sports Bar, located in Runnymede, New Jersey.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by Romeo's Termite and Pest Control. Family owned and operated, Romeo's only employs the safest, most effective methods to rectify your situation. Whether it's at your house or at your commercial residence, no matter what the concern may be, they'll get the job done. Raccoons, squirrels, bed bugs, termites, you name it, they'll take care of it. Satisfaction guaranteed. Give them a call at 856-341-3927 or look them up on Facebook at Romeo's Pest Control or visit their website at www.romeospestcontrol.com, your local pest control provider.
You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now, only on A2DRadio.com.
And welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance Now, brought to you by Harry's Contracting. If you got fantasy questions, we got your answers right over here. Give us a call, 856-295-1178, or tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at Robbie BLTZ, my partner in crime, at StatMagnet85. Douglas, we're in the middle of the hockey injury report, and we're certainly going to have some time for Kings Jackson Jokers to round out the show. But getting back to this, I want to ask you, Doug, do you have any interest in playing fantasy hockey? Hello? Oh, we might have lost Doug. We'll see if we can get him back on the horn in just a second. But for now, I'm going to continue with the injury report. Moving on to Anaheim, one fan, Brian Daly, is paying attention to this. Freddie Anderson is day-to-day with an upper body injury. Now, John Gibson, the NHL's Rookie of the Month of December, has been ruling the crease anyways. But Freddie is a top backup who can contend for starts. So you definitely have to have him on your roster. I think you want to keep an eye out, see if this day-to-day turns into a long-term scenario. Moving on to the Boston Bruins, David Krejci, he finally practiced with the team on Monday for the first time since suffering an upper body injury on December 27th. He's still not cleared, ready for game action, but he is a lot closer than on December 27th. For David Savard for the Columbus Blue Jackets, this news just came throughout today. He will miss approximately 4 weeks with what's been deemed an oblique strain. That's devastating for the Blue Jackets as well as his fantasy owners. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, the Oilers standpoint, as we welcome back in Doug Fresh on the Fresh Maker Skype line. What's up, Doug?
Not too much, Rob.
Definitely just giving out some injuries here in fantasy hockey. Now, I know you don't play fantasy hockey. Would you ever be interested in playing fantasy hockey?
I actually think I would. I wouldn't mind trying it. It would make me follow the league a lot more closely.
It's a lot of fun, man, and exactly for that point. I know Mike's looking for a new owner in his Dynasty League. You might want to go hit him up, and what would that be, like your 8th team for Mike the Commission's leagues?
I think so. I mean, at this point, I'm in at least 4 or 5 of his leagues. I don't know if I can find room for all that in my life.
Yeah, you need to have time to sleep, eat, and shit,
Yeah, basically. Bro.
Well, a hockey player that's going to have plenty of time to do all three is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for the Edmonton Oilers. He suffered a long-term hand injury in Monday night's game against Florida, according to Coach Todd McClellan. No timetable on his return, so he could be out for quite a while. It was deemed a long-term hand injury.
Did he like cut his hand off long term, or is it like just severely broken?
Think we're dealing with a fracture here, but you're going to want to stay tuned. Hockey, it's tough to diagnose injuries because they never give up. It's upper body, lower body. I'm surprised I got that it was deemed a long-term hand injury out of this report, quite frankly. Aaron Ackblad for the Florida Panthers, who's been out with a concussion. He missed Sunday and Monday's game as he attempts to clear league protocol. He has been practicing on a limited basis, but still being kept out as of Monday night's game. So all you Ekblad owners out there, you're going to want to pay attention. Moving over to the New Jersey Devils. Oh, Matty just cringed a little bit in the seat. Kyle Palmieri, he blocked a shot off his right knee late in Saturday's game, plus hurt his left arm earlier in the contest. He was removed and missed the rest of that game. He didn't practice Monday. Coach John Hines indicated after practice Monday that it was just maintenance for Palmieri missing practice, and he is expected to play Tuesday. So make sure you have him in your lineup if you're in a daily league for hockey. 3 more injuries to sum up here. A lot of injuries in hockey. Mike Hoffman, Ottawa Senators, he sustained an undisclosed injury in Monday's game against the Sharks and did not return. You're going to want to monitor him. He's a darling for Ottawa and certainly for your fantasy team. Speaking of fantasy all-stars, Henrik Sedin just can't catch a healthy break this year. He suffered an undisclosed injury Sunday against the Islanders and will likely miss games through the All-Star break, reports Coach Willie Desjardins. So, again, you're going to have to find a replacement for Henrik Sedin, and I'll give you an example here in just a moment. Last but not least, John Carlson from the Washington Capitals. He suffered a lower body injury as he traveled with the Capitals to Columbus on Monday, but has not been in the lineup so far in 2016. His presence on the trip is an encouraging sign, although a timetable for his return has yet to be established. Carlson had 6 goals, 27 points in 34 games prior to the injury. He has been skating recently, so keep your eyes open. And that is the long list of injuries. A little bit longer than your basketball list, Doug.
Yeah, I would have to say it's a lot of really banged up, star players.
Well, if you want to get your biggest tax refund ever, and not get a banged up return, contact Gibson Mailer LLC. They're certified public accountants and located 301 Oxford Valley Road in Yardley, PA. Give them a call, 215-369-3300. So I gave you all the injuries in NHL. Here's a few ad recommendations. You're going to want to jump on them now because their ownership is about to skyrocket. In the forward category, and this could help replace Henrik Sedin, for example, Cody Eakin from the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Stars, on the whole, have been an offensive dynamo, and Cody Eakin's been no exception. He's only owned in 40% of leagues, but in the last 3 games in Fantasyland, he's just been on an absolute tear. You're going to want to get him on your team. You're going to want to get him in your lineup. He's posted up 30 fantasy points in the last 4 games. He's a face-off darling if you count face-offs in your league. He plays center and the wing position. He hasn't scored a goal since December 27th, but before then he had 9 goals, 10 assists on the young season. He's definitely a guy that could be a great plug-and-play player. So go with Cody Eakin. On the defensive side, I'm going to go with Marc-Edouard Vlasic for the San Jose Sharks. He's up to 64% owned, mostly due to 28 fantasy points over the past week for a defenseman. That's outstanding production. You're going to get Vlasic into your lineups onto your fantasy team. Last but not least, the goaltender situation. We didn't mention too many injuries, but here's a guy that I think you still need to jump on. He's now up to 69% owned in fantasy leagues, and he should see plenty of starts after re-signing with the Edmonton Oilers. And that's one Cam Talbot, the former backup in New York. His recent hot play has been outstanding. Just bringing up his numbers here really quickly. On the season, he's got a 256 goals against and a 915 save percentage. You could do far worse as your second or third goaltender on your team. His last game, he had 2 goals off of 33 shots, good for a 939 save percentage and the win. He's on a 2-game winning streak, and he's scored a minimum 34 points in his last three contests, easy for me to say, including a shootout loss against San Jose. I think Cam Talbot would be a fabulous addition to your goalie tandems. Just like I mentioned last week, Corey Hellebuck, who's been outstanding for the Winnipeg Jets. So if you're a fantasy hockey player, you're going to want to go with these three ads. And that's been it for fantasy hockey, brought to you by Martina Roofing, with more than 15 years of roofing experience. They're proudly serving the Sewell, New Jersey, as well as Pennsylvania, Delaware, and the South Jersey area. Give them a call, 609-792-5103, or look them online, martinaroofingllc.com. Maddie, what do you say, man? Should we get right into Kings, Jackson Jokers? We need to take another break? All right, we're going to pause 10 seconds for a station identification because Mattson Sudi is the boss here. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com.
You're listening to A2D Radio, A2D Radio, A2D Radio at A2DRadio.com.
And welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance Now, powered by Harry's Contracting. Rob Hobia, Doug Fresh on the Fresh Maker Skype line, Mattson Sudi producing the party that is Fantasy Dominance Now. We've closed the phone lines, but if you still have fantasy questions for us to answer, hit us up on Twitter with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at RobbieBLTZ. My partner in crime is at StatMagnet85. So, Doug, you had to cut out last week for Kings Jackson Jokers. I'm excited to hear your nominees for our awesome new segment here on Fantasy Dominance Now.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna start with my king. I think we say the U.S. government. Gotta give credit where credit is due. Putting 5 American hostages in Iran on Monday or Tuesday, I should say, yesterday. Having successfully negotiated their release from captivity. One of the 5 being Washington Post journalist Jason Rezaian. Yeah, the most notable one, Jason Rezaian, has been held captive by the Iranian government for the last 18 months, being held and being charged as as basically a spy. For treason, being charged on charges of treason to the Iranian government and being a spy. So yeah, this is really awesome for these 5 individuals and their families that they're able to return safe. So good job, America.
America. So America is your king nomination, which is just an outstanding performance in charity and goodwill, as in this case, on the sporting field or off the sporting field. I think that's a great nomination. How often do people praise the U.S. government? Everybody's usually tearing them down.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you got to give credit where credit is due. You can't win them all, but this is definitely awesome for these 5 individuals and their families.
Oh, big
time.
time.
Just being able to go home again.
Yeah, big time. Absolutely big time. I mean, certainly, this is sports kind of takes the backseat for life and death issues like this, and to be able to be back and return with your families, unbelievable, awesome story, Doug. Thanks for sharing that. My king nomination is back onto the sporting field, and we made a little reference to him. He was originally going to be our thumbnail for the show because I love Larry Fitzgerald, man, and seeing him perform against the Green Bay Packers, we didn't give him enough credit in the opening of the show, so I'm going to give him the credit now and nominate him as my king selection. When he raced 75 yards on the first play in overtime against the Packers, it took him over 100 yards for the game. Now, that was Fitzgerald's 5th 100-yard postseason game. In NFL history, Doug, only your boy, Jerry Rice, and my boy, Michael Irvin, have had more than 500-yard postseason games. Rice has had 8. Irvin has had 6. That puts Larry Fitz in great company, certainly cementing his Hall of Fame credentials.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, that Super Bowl ring he might win in the next 3 years, that'll definitely put him in for sure, first ballot.
Yeah.
Not this year, though. It's not happening this year.
Hey, man, I think anything's possible any given Sunday, brother.
Oh, agreed. I trust me. I'd want nothing more than to see Fitz win a ring this year. I
Well,
just think it's Cam's time.
hey, it very well could be. I mean, you're talking about wanting to supplant league MVP. What better way to do that and get yourself a Super Bowl ring? I think that's a little more important probably for one Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. But if Larry Fitz has anything to say about it, if he wants to be a king again this week, it's going to really lie on his shoulders as well as Carson Palmer to become victorious in that game. So that's my king category. Who do you got for your Jack, a.k.a. Jack Off category today?
This is a guy who could probably be there every day of his life. And that's Jets cornerback Antonio Cromartie. The only man that I know that can pay more in child support than most people make in a year.
What's he got, like 8 kids, 7 kids?
Antonio Cromartie, as you could remember a few years back, I think it was like the 2012, the New York Jets did Hard Knocks under coach Rex Ryan. Antonio Cromartie was asked to name his children on national television and failed miserably.
Yeah, he did. I remember that. Yeah, he did. I
Oh
remember
my
that.
God. Oh, that was terrible. Presently he has 10 children by 8 women. Oh no, excuse me. He has 10 children by 8 women currently, including 2 by his current wife. He estimatedly pays out in child support $336 a year.
Are you flipping kidding me, man? Oh my goodness.
$336,000 a year. On average, pays out about $3,500 a month in child support.
That's crazy, man.
And by the way, the reason I bring him up isn't the fact that he has 10 children by 8 women, or isn't the fact that he has 8 kids by 7 other women other than his wife. It's the fact that he actually had a vasectomy a few years ago. So he decided, okay, after he had 2 children with his current wife, he's done, no more. He's basically already, staged a football team. Well, I would sue the doctor if I was Antonio Cromartie, because his wife is expecting twins.
What?
Which would make for lucky number a full dozen.
Oh my goodness,
Well,
that is.
children.
So he had a vasectomy, and that still didn't even keep him from having kids. How about this, man? How about you keep it in your pants or wear a damn rubber? Like, I
don't even think he works that way. I think Antonio Cromartie, if he just touches a woman, she gets pregnant.
Yeah, I think he does, man.
Like, seriously, 12 children now. As long as everything goes well with his expecting wife's twins. I don't know though. The real question is, are they his?
Yeah.
He did have a vasectomy.
Hey, put him on Maury Povich, man. Is this the father? Right away, man. Because he probably screws in his sleep, man. So women could take advantage of him. He wouldn't even know. He goes, "Oh, I guess they got to be my kids or whatever." But you kind of forget at 10 kids and then 2 on the way. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but vasectomies are relatively effective though, 99.85% to be exact, in preventing pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Antonio Cromartie is super sperm.
Yeah, super sperm. There's your quick glimpse, Matty.
Keep your women away from Antonio Cromartie.
We should have made that the title of the show, Antonio Cromartie, super sperm.
Super sperm bonanza.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. My story isn't as humorous. It's actually an awful representation for hockey, sticking with the hockey world, because I'm in that frame of mind as Brian Daly just popped into the A2D Radio studios. We're going to be having a live hockey happy hour immediately after our show, starting at 3 p.m. So you're going to want to stay in tune with the station. It's a Rob Povia block. If you could stomach me for 2 shows, then listen to both of them. But Gary, I'm naming as my jack off this week Gary Bettman in the NHL. So just to because I'm going to talk about this ad nauseum on the Hockey Happy Hour, but just to give our Fantasy Dominance Now listeners a snapshot, John Scott from the Arizona Coyotes. Free John Scott. Free John Scott, indeed. Well, there is a peaceful resolution that just came through the airwaves today, but I'll get to that in a second. Let me give the backdrop. So fans out in Arizona thought it would be funny if they voted John Scott to be a captain for the All-Star game. They got, petitioned everybody to chime in, and you got overwhelming numbers, similar to Gergensen a few years ago with the Buffalo Sabres. And he was elected to be an NHL captain in the All-Star game. Well, his reaction was, what the F? Like, I played 11 games. He had 1 assist. He's a thug-type player. He's not a very good hockey player. But in his defense, you get elected to an All-Star game, then you play, because if your team wins, you get $1 million for your family. So when he learned that, he was like, "Oh, I'm on board. I will represent my team then." Well, Gary Bettman politely got him on the phone and said, "We'd like you to step down and not participate in the All-Star game, due to the nature of your voting in." And he told him flat out, "No, I was elected. I'm going there to play." So not to be outdone, Gary Bettman and the NHL arranged with the teams, Arizona Coyotes and the Montreal Canadiens, a trade that sent John Scott from the Coyotes to the Canadiens, who
I just heard like collusion.
It's very much collusion. That's why I'm throwing this story up. It's very much collusion, right? They immediately sent him down to the AHL, Doug, which made him not eligible for the All-Star game, taking money out of his right?
Boo, that's an outrage. That is an outrage. I would sue if I was Scott.
There's no doubt about it. I'd sue him as well. But I think there was a ton of backlash on this story on social medias, on NHL.com. Lots of hate mail sent towards the league, right? Well, just coming through today on the NHL waiver wire, John Scott will indeed be the captain of the Pacific Division in the All-Star game. So apparently, to avoid, further damaging to his reputation for Gary Bettman, which I don't think would be even possible, they caved, and now the story has gone full circle. He's back in the All-Star game, but that makes the NHL and Gary Bettman even look more like a jack-off, in my opinion.
Yeah, because how are you gonna try and fix the situation to get rid of it just to have it blow up in your face? I mean, this is why you can't let fans elect. This is why you can't let fans decide and vote on these All-Star games. You can't.
Right.
I think fans should do like they do in baseball. Fans should have the deciding vote in terms of the last spots, or the bench players or something. They shouldn't get the right to vote for whoever they want as a starter. Agreed.
Hey, just because we got about 2 minutes left in the show, Doug, let's move on to the Joker category. Who do you got this week?
Oh, my Joker was a laugher, and it's from last night's game at Quicken Loans Arena. The Golden State Warriors taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's supposed to be like an epic on TNT last night for that Tuesday night NBA action. Or Monday night NBA action, I should say, on Martin Luther King Day, right?
Yep.
No, wrong. Golden State 132, Cleveland 98. Absolute stinker. Cleveland lost by 34, being down by as many as 43 in the second half.
Ouch.
Absolute destruction in this game. I mean, it can all be summed up like this. The big three of Cleveland: LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love. A combined 30 points.
Wow.
Excuse me, a combined 27 points.
Wow.
Big three for Golden State: Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, 66.
Well, that is indeed a laugher, Doug. That isn't a laughter. Well, you started off with a story outside the sporting world. Well, I'm going to end with a story outside the sporting world. A Powerball reimbursement crowdfunding page was shut down. Probably a hoax. Let me give you the details of this joker right here. A Tennessee woman by the name of Cinnamon Nicole. I could probably stop there and not give any more.
What strip club does she work at?
Right. Well, she's a person of unknown name and origin who was trolling for slightly uncomfortable laughs, had her GoFundMe Powerball reimbursement fund page shut down by the website for undisclosed reasons. I think the reasons is you're a dumbass. A fundraising for a dumb idea isn't against their terms of service, so I'm guessing the page was a straight-up hoax. They were basically getting donations to reimburse her. She said she had spent over had spent over $810 on Powerball tickets to win New Jersey's record $1.5 million. You live in Tennessee. Are you kidding me? That is an absolute joker. And what's not a joker is Fantasy Dominance Now, where we help you in all things fantasy sports. We're going to wrap up the show today.
Except for winning the Powerball. The $1.5 billion Powerball.
No doubt, no doubt. For Mattson Sudi, Doug Fresh, Amrad Povia, dominating your sports leagues, dominating everything in life. We will see you next week back on our regularly scheduled time, 10:30 a.m. Stay tuned for Hockey Happy Hour coming at you live 3 p.m. here on a2radio.com.
Better catch.